that smoke, bitch, I got it for 'em. They want that smoke, bitch, I got it for 'em. They want that smoke, you know I.
When they say Sugar Ray Robinson was the greatest fighter pound for pound, meaning that I imagine if he was a heavyweight fighting the same style, he'd be the greatest. I would have to admit, I would have to say yes. I have his fight films, I've watched the films. That man was beautiful. Timing, speed, reflexes, rhythm, his body, everything was beautiful. I say I'm the greatest heavyweight of all times, but pound for pound, I still say Sugar Ray Robinson was the greatest of all time.
This is the rings pound for pound before the update. You gotta remember, Oscar De La Hoya is the owner of the ring. Number one pound for pound in the world is Oleander Usyk. Oleander Usyk. Number two is Terrence Bud Crawford. Terrence Bud Crawford is number two in the Ring magazine. Number three for the Ring magazine is Naoya Inoue. Number three is Naoya Inoue. Number four is Earl the Truth Spence. That's right. Earl the Truth Spence is number four. Number five is Juan Francisco Estrada. That's right, it's Juan Francisco Estrada. Number six is Saul Canelo Alvarez. That's Saul Canelo Alvarez. Number seven is Vasily Lomachenko. That is Vasily Lomachenko. Number eight, Dmitry Bivol. Number eight is Dmitry Bivol. Number nine is Josh Taylor. That's right, number nine is Josh Taylor. And number 10 to close it out is Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. That's Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez is number 10. Now Ring has updated their list from the one that they just had a couple months ago. So the new one reads as number one pound for pound in the Ring's eyes is Oleander Usyk, the heavyweight champion of the world. Number two, they have Naoya Inoue. Naoya Inoue is number two in their eyes. Number three, Terrence Bud Crawford, from number one to number three. This is where they got him. Number four, they have Earl the Truth Spence Jr. Yes, Earl the Truth Spence Jr. Number five, Saul Canelo Alvarez. That's Saul Canelo Alvarez. Number six, Vasily Lomachenko. That is Vasily Lomachenko. Number seven, Dmitry Bivol. Number seven is Dmitry Bivol. Number eight is Josh Taylor. Yes, that's right. Josh Taylor is number eight. Number nine, it's Jermell Charlo. The undisputed champion of 154 is number 9, Jermell Charlo. And rounding out the 10 pound for pound on the updated ring is Arthur Beterbiev. He is number 10, Arthur Beterbiev. It's funny how ESPN is considered the worldwide leader in sports, but their pound for pound list doesn't represent that. Number one in the pound for pound with ESPN is Terrence Bud Crawford. Number 1 on ESPN's pound for pound list is Terrence Bud Crawford. Number 2 is Naoya Inoue. That's right. Number 2 is Naoya Inoue. Number 3 on this list is Earl the Truth Spence. That's right, it's Earl the Truth Spence. Number 4 is Alexander Usyk. The heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk is number 4. Number 5 is Saul Canelo Alvarez. That's right, it is Saul Canelo Alvarez. Number 6 is Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is number 6. Number 7 is Arthur Beterbiev. That's right, number 7 is Arthur Beterbiev. Number 8, Dimitri Bivol. Right, number 8 is Dimitri Bivol. Number 9, Vasyl Lomachenko. Number 9 is Vasyl Lomachenko. Number 10, and round out ESPN's top 10 pound for pound is Shakur Stevenson. That's right, it's Shakur Stevenson. I know you people ready for a real list, and if it ain't up in echelon, it has to be Champside, the baddest brand in the land. If it ain't those two, then you missing out. Number 1 on the pound for pound list, Earl the Truth Spence. Yes, 1 and 2 could be interchangeable depending on who you are, because number 2 is Terrence T-Bud Crawford. And these are the best 2 boxers in fighting right now. Anybody else that says that is a hater. Number 3 is Jermell Charlo. This man cleaned out the 154 division. Jermell Charlo. Number 4 is 2-division champion Shakur Stevenson. The future of boxing right there. It'd be a hard person to stop him. Number 5 is the Tank, 3-division champion Gervonta Tank Davis under Mayweather Promotions. Number 6 is the first ever 135 undisputed lightweight champion Devin the Dream Haney. Yes. Number 7 is, without a belt, but his baddest thing walking right now, is Jerron Boots Ennis. Number 7 is Jerron Boots Ennis. Number 8 is Cool Boy Step, Stephen Fulton. Stephen Fulton is number 8. Number 9, we got to give it to Dimitri Bivol. He took out Canelo Alvarez, we got to give it to him. And see, number 10 is Iffy. And number 10 can be switched between 3 different people right there. I can give it between Bam Jesse Rodriguez, who jumped up 2 weight classes to beat Carlos Cuatros, or I can give it to Arthur Beterbiev, who is undefeated and all 100% KO. We can give it to Naoya Inoue, who's also our dog as well.
When they say Sugar Ray Robinson was the greatest fighter pound for pound, meaning that I imagine if he was a heavyweight fighting the same style, he'd be the greatest. I would have to admit, I would have to say yes. I have his fight films, I've watched the films. That man was beautiful. Timing, speed, reflexes, rhythm, his body, everything was beautiful. I say I'm the greatest heavyweight of all time, but pound for pound, I still say Sugar Ray Robinson was the greatest of all time.
Raw Molly got me all up in demon mode.
But what we don't talk about is, you know, look at that. Steroids. We don't talk about that. So we don't know all the fighters he beat. And it could have been not clean in a lot of fights. You think he was clean in 95? Just Canelo. It was the cakewalk.
It's funny what old media doesn't talk about. Whenever a colored fighter or a fighter of renown does something, it's always in the news. But Ring has Canelo ranked number 6 on the pound for pound. ESPN has him number 5, and they have Tyson Fury number 6. But they have drug cheats on their pound for pound. Tyson Fury was accused and convicted of taking Naltrexone, and then on another drug test he failed for cocaine. Both are uppers and both enhances you. Canelo, he failed for clenbuterol, and then he tried to give us the bogus idea that it was some tainted meat when his own trainer, yes, his trainer, they have a butcher shop. They have the finest cuts of meat in all of Mexico. So you mean to tell me that he didn't know how to get you a cut of meat that wasn't tainted? Come on, man. Because when we seen you fight without your boosted juice, Canelo, you was a shell of what you look like. And see, that's the problem. Tyson Fury has been known to stay on that juice with ties with Daniel Kinahan. And Canelo's trainer, Eddie Reynoso, also had another fighter who popped dirty, Oscar Valdez. But see, the light was on Eddie Reynoso in his camp. And so, with the light on it and the scrutiny bright, Canelo Alvarez and Oscar Valdez both had a fight this summer. And they both was washed. They both was beat from pillar to post, and they looked like they didn't even deserve to be in the ring with them. Shakur Stevenson gave Oscar Valdez a lesson in humility and in boxing. Demetrius Bivol, he beat Canelo like Floyd did, but not as bad. But Canelo didn't win but 2 rounds in that whole fight. He was washed. You can see Canelo getting frustrated and flustered, and you see he gassed out and wasn't as strong. That's because they didn't have their do-it fluid, and that's because all eyes was on them. Yes, these fighters are taking the do-it fluid. They're taking the sauce that makes them boss, and they're not the same when they go against natural, ready fighters, which we choose on our pound-for-pound list. So see, they're on the old media's pound-for-pound list, but they're fabricated. They're not real fighters, and that's the problem. It started with the Mandela effect and them trying to erase Lomachenko's loss.
What have you seen of yourself in Canelo for the last couple of years after you fought? Same fight. Same fight. It's crazy that it was like Canelo in his prime. He'd have been a different fighter without fighting. He was in his prime. Go back and look at me. I was the best when I was in my 20s. When I fought Canelo, I was almost 40 years old. And a lot of times they're going to keep asking about the Canelo fight. And I already know when they write about it, they're going to make it seem like, the headline, they're going to make it seem extremely bad, seem like a beat. I mean, it seems like a beat. It's not a beat. I like Canelo. I mean, I like his work. But we're forgetting about Boost Ennis. Hell of a fighter. We don't talk about him. Errol Spence going through some ups and downs throughout life, tragedies, and he still get through it all. And then a guy go out and Terence Crawford go out there and do what he's supposed to do. Of course, he looked good, but we forget about these guys. We don't talk about. We Terence go out there and do what he got to do, and we forget about these guys. And I'm not going to forget about my people, fighters that don't get their credit. I'm just going to stand behind my people through it all. You trash talk a lot. You was cocky. And you're supposed to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, who the fuck don't believe in you? And I went out there day in and day out and proved that I was the best. And it's fucked up that they don't got Tank as one of the top guys, pound for pound. You look, and then they gonna rate Canelo up there. And I just feel like Canelo is one of the guys. He's one of the top guys up there. But he's not the only guy. It's not cool. Even though Spence went through what he went through, and Crawford and Spence haven't fought one another, doesn't mean these guys should be rated up there. Every time they went out there, they done what they had to do. There's so many young fighters that's up and coming that we don't talk about. And I'll come on record and say, these guys, that kid Ennis, don't sleep on him. Don't sleep on him. I tell these fighters, don't. Hell of a fighter. And even Benavidez should be ranked in the top 5 pounds. You know? But what we don't do racism go on within the sport of boxing? Absolutely.
Old media don't care about us boxing fans because they try to make up their own narrative. Who else would try to sit there and go back in history and change a record? For years they tried to tell us that Vasil Lomachenko was undefeated when in fact he lost his second fight. His second pro fight against Orlando Salido, he lost. But in every interview they try to show him with 0 losses and a draw, which shows you the stint and the amount in which they were to go through just to keep their narrative going, just to try to say that he's the greatest, he's the Matrix. This is the narrative they're trying to push, and they will do anything to make him be on top. And see, that's a problem, and that's a struggle for other fighters, especially in that weight division. You got Devin the Dream Haney, who is the king of the 135 division. He has every belt in that division. And how is Lomachenko, a former champion in the division, who lost to Teofimo Lopez, who lost to George Kambosos, who Devin the Dream Haney straight washed George Kambosos? How is Lomachenko ranked higher than Devin the Dream Haney on the pound for pound list? Matter of fact, how is Lomachenko even on the pound for pound list and Devin the Dream Haney is not? He's the best in that division. Lomachenko has 2 losses in less than 20 fights. And his losses, he got beat by front foot dominant Spanish people. And yes, Teofimo beat him badly. And Lomachenko didn't throw no punches the first 6 rounds. But they calling him the best. And they deserve to be on a pound for pound list. Now, don't get me wrong, he's a good fighter, but he shouldn't be on the pound for pound over Devin the Dream Haney. Plus, he ducked Devin the Dream Haney for years anyway. But no matter what he does, old media act like it's a diamond in disguise. He can fight washed up fighters, and they like, oh my, look at Lomachenko, he done came back. He's fighting washed ups, has-beens, and never will be's. And if he gets a win, then they're sitting there acting like it's the second coming of Christ or something. No. If he wants to fight, he needs to stop ducking Devin the Dream Haney and go get these belts. He's always wanted to be undisputed. Devin the Dream Haney has the undisputed crown. If Lomachenko wants to be on that pound for pound and he wants to relive his dreams, it starts right there through Devin the Dream Haney. Funny how things come full circle, because they tried to freeze Devin Haney out, saying that he don't work for the right company. Now he's with the right company, top ranking ESPN, and he's still getting froze off the pound for pound list. But Lomachenko's dream is always to be undisputed, but it's funny. Devin's name is the Dream. And to capture your dream, Lomachenko, you're going to have to come through the dream. And it's time for you to stop with all these facades, and now you're going up against a real fighter who's real hungry and who's really a champion. Devin Haney, the youngest undisputed champion of the 4-belt era, of probably any era. Devin the Dream Haney put in his work, and now they don't want to give him his accolades. And see, everybody kept trying to push Lomachenko to be the first ever to be undisputed in the lightweight division. Because see, the lightweight division is a glamour division. And see, everybody knows Devin the Dream Haney is number 1 to undisputed. But now ESPN is trying to push this false narrative, saying that Teofimo was the first one, and then Kambosos was the second one, and then Devin. No. The copyright and the Boxing Hall of Fame and the pundits will not accept that. Devin the Dream Haney is the next undisputed behind Charlo. We're not going for that right there. Canelo Alvarez, Charlo, then Devin Haney. Josh Taylor was before that, but we don't have Teofimo Lopez on there. We don't have George Kambosos up there. So they can take that line and keep it. And another thing, he's undisputed, but not on the pound for pound list. The crazy thing about that, Oleana Usyk, when he became undisputed in the cruiserweight division, the weakest division in boxing, he was put number 6 on the pound for pound list because he cleared out of the division. He automatically made it. But Devin the Dream Haney, he's cleared out one of the most deepest division in boxing, the glamour division in boxing, and he's not even on the pound for pound list. And it's crazy, when Floyd Mayweather retired in 2007, he was taken off the pound for pound list immediately. Tyson Fury then claimed to retire, and he's still on the pound for pound list. So what's with all the double standards coming here? Lomachenko's in the 135 division, Devin Haney's division, and he's ranked on there. Not only is he ranked, but he's ranked pretty high on there. But he has 2 losses and only 16 wins. Less than 20 fights, he has 2 losses. Devin the Dream Haney has no losses. Plus, he beat the man that beat Lomachenko. And see, this is what I'm talking about. They're not being right, and they trying to do our people dead wrong, but it's all good because we're going to shed light upon this, and you'd be a fool not to see what they're doing.
I like Canelo. I like his work. But we're forgetting about who's in it. Hell of a fighter. We don't talk about him. Errol Spence going through some ups and downs throughout life, tragedies, and he still get through it all. And then the guy go out and Terence Crawford go out there and do what he's supposed to do. Of course, he look good, but we forget about these guys. We don't talk about Terence go out there and do what he got to do, and we forget about these guys. And I'm not going to forget about my people, fighters that don't get their credit. I'm just gonna stand down with my people. You trash talk a lot. You was cocky. And you supposed to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, who the fuck don't believe in you? And I went out there day in and day out and proved that I was the best. And it's fucked up that they don't got Tank as one of the top guys, pound for pound. You look, and then they can rate Canelo up there, and I just feel like Canelo is one of the guys. He's one of the top guys up there, but he's not the only guy. It's not cool. Even though Spence went through what he went through, and Crawford, Crawford and Spence haven't fought one another, doesn't mean these guys should be rated up there. Every time they went out there, they done what they had to do. There's so many young fighters that's up and coming that we don't talk about. And I'll come on record and say, these guys, that kid in this, don't sleep on him. Don't sleep on him. I tell these fighters, don't. Hell of a fighter. And even Bennett Diaz should be right in the top 5 pound. But what we don't do racism go on within the sport of boxing? Absolutely.
Ring like to call themselves the Bible of boxing. I mean, they more like the Grimoire, because in the Bible they said there'd be a lot of false prophets. In the Ring magazine, ever since they was bought by Oscar De La Hoya, it's been a lot of false prophets and a lot of false teaching. See, Oscar De La Hoya, they trying to push their narrative and promote their fighters. It's not unbiased. Their number one objective and their number one top pound for pound is Oleana Usyk. Now, I have nothing against Oleana Usyk when he was a cruiserweight, but as a heavyweight champion, that disqualified him from being pound for pound. Yes, he was undisputed, but yes. Number 2, they got Naoya Inoue. Now, Naoya Inoue himself doesn't believe that he's supposed to be in the top. He has doubts within himself. He know if he move up to a different weight class, he know that he's going to be in trouble. He admits it himself. He's 23-0 with 20 knockouts, but he's fighting people that you can't name. You can't name 5 people that Inoue has fought. Can't name 5 people. But they want to push him and make it seem like he's the best in the era. And see, people, the casual fans, they see him knocking out these trash cans and ain't thinking anything. And then you're going to push Bud Crawford down? Come on, Bud Crawford been doing it for years in and out. He's a 3-division world champ, undisputed at 140, and he's the WBO champ at 147. He's 38-0 with 29 knockouts. How can you push him down? Then Earl Spence, who's also the unified WBA, WBC ring, IBF champ, 28-0 with 22 knockouts. Bud and Spence is arguably 1 and 2 on anybody's pound for pound list if you're looking at the body of work and the longevity of it. Can't nobody out there beat them. And pound for pound is supposed to be if they was the same height, weight, and size. Let me throw this at you right here. Oleana Usyk, they got ranked number 1. But when him and Sean Porter fight, Sean Porter washed him. It's because the smaller fighters have more skills than the heavier fighters. See, to be a bigger fighter, you don't have to have as much skills because the fights doesn't last that long. It's about power and getting them out of there. That's why they made the pound for pound division. And then for them to put Canelo Alvarez at number 5, he's got caught for clenbuterol. He's been washed on 2 occasions. Floyd Mayweather beat him. He didn't win 1 round. He lost to Bivol. He won 2 rounds. He arguably lost to Erislandy Lara. He arguably lost one of the fights to Triple G. But they keep giving him gifted wins. But being a drug cheat automatically disqualifies you. And then they sit there saying that the loss to Bivol is because he dared to be great. Well, he went up there and fought Sergey Krylov, who's bigger than Bivol. So why didn't he dare to be great then? I guess dare to be great only works when you win. But when you beat Sergey Kovalev, they was like, oh yeah, Canelo went up there. Oh, he didn't say nothing about him being too big right then. See, it's them trying to fix the narrative. What it was, they found out a game opponent that wasn't going to lay down and beat Canelo. See, he's been ducking all these other fighters that can stop him, and he went up there and he thought he had a cherry pick, but it went wrong. Okay. Number 6, y'all got Vasyl Lomachenko. He lost his second pro fight. Then he just lost to Teofimo Lopez. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Lomachenko. I think he's a great fighter, but he's not to be on the pound for pound list. He's 16-2 with 11 knockouts. He's in the 135 division. How do you have anybody in the 135 division on the pound for pound, but you don't have the king of the 135 division? You don't have Devin the Dream Haney, who has all the belts, who accomplished what Lomachenko was trying to accomplish. Lomachenko got beat by Teofimo, and Teofimo got beat by Kambosos. Devin washed Kambosos. He didn't win a round against Devin. So how do you have Lomachenko up here, but you don't have Devin Haney up here, the undisputed champion? See, that shows how they try to whitewall things. Not to mention the fact that after he lost his second fight, ESPN kept trying to push the narrative that he was still undefeated. He was 14-0-1. No, he was 14-1. But they kept trying to push it to the public until he got called out about it. Now, Lomachenko's a great guy. I have nothing against him, but they got to stop the narrative and what they're doing. And they got Dimitri Bivol as number 7. I have no problem with Dimitri Bivol being on the list. He did beat the man that was the man. But how do you have him behind Canelo? 20-0 with 11 knockouts. That man beat Canelo from pillar to post. It wasn't even competitive. So how does Canelo rank higher than Bivol on the pound for pound list when he defeated Canelo? See, I don't understand that. Then we go push the narratives. I thought if you beat the man, you become the man. But, you know, let them tell it. They push it the way they want to push it. And see, we don't see it. But, hey, we do see it. Now, Josh Taylor, number 8. I respected Josh Taylor, and he deserved to be up there, but he's 19-0 with 13 knockouts. 2 of his fights have been real scrutinized, like the one with Regis Prograis. They gave him that one. I felt that Regis Prograis won, and you can look at the end of the fight. His eye was almost gone. And then he arguably lost that to Jack Catterall and ain't ran it back yet. And I feel like Josh Taylor just don't deserve to be up there. He got too many niches in there, and they keep saving him. That's why he keep fighting over there in England, because they keep saving him over there. And 2 of those fights should have been losses. So he don't even deserve to be back up there no more. But if they do have him up there, I have him like 9 or 10, at least 10. But yeah, Catterall arguably won that fight. So if he wasn't robbed, then he would be up there, honestly. And number 9, finally they got Jermell Charlo up there. And see, I'm mad about this because this man is undisputed and he cleared out that division. He cleared out one of the deepest divisions in boxing. The man is 35-1-1, and that loss that he has is arguable because most feel that he's won it. But you know, he still took it on the chin. But he cleaned out one of the deepest divisions, and most people don't even have him on the pound for pound. The ring just threw him on there and put him at number 9. That's disrespect for real, man. But this is supposed to be a public clarification. This is the Bible of boxing, right? And number 10, they got Arthur Beterbiev. I can't argue with that because Arthur Beterbiev, he's been doing his thing. He's 18-0 with 18 knockouts. He's a wrecking machine in the light heavyweight division. So I can't argue about him right there. He's a good pick right there. But the rest of this is uncalled for. And they can't explain it except for the fact that they're trying to whitewash. And on their older list, for number 5, they had Juan Francisco Estrada. 42-3, Juan Francisco Estrada. You think he's better than Jermell Charlo? You think he's better than Arthur Beterbiev? No. Pound for pound, Juan Francisco Estrada, he's a good fighter, but number 5, that's pushing it. But you got to know who owns the Ring magazine. That's Oscar De La Hoya. So you know he's trying to push his people ahead. And number 10, they had Chocolatito. Chocolatito, yes, he was great, and everybody thought Roman Gonzalez was the next best thing. But you got to realize, Roman Gonzalez was fighting a bunch of trash cans. He's 51-3 with 41 knockouts. Soon as he had a step-up fight against Soy Rumbaksai, he lost back-to-back. The first one he lost in the decision. The second one he got put into the dirt. Like Earl Spence say, put his ass in the dirt. And he got put in the dirt. And there was nothing else to be said about it. His fights ain't even look the same no more. It's like old media doesn't even try to hide it anymore. And the ring just doesn't care because they just throw this in our face and they just expect us to run with this. When we know who the more talented boxers is. That's why they try to keep their fighters away from us. Like Golden Boy tries to keep Jaime McGee away from Jermell Charlo. Like, they don't want to see their fighters go against our fighters, and then when our fighters are trying to challenge their fighters, they try to stall our fighters out and try to put them on the protection agency list. But no more, we going for that right there. Because when you put your fighter up there and it says that he's the best, then you have a young, hungry lion that wants to see if he's the best. And if y'all feel like y'all fighters is the best, then put them out there against our fighters. That's all we have to say about that. ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, has a pound-for-pound list that is truly ridiculous. But when all your people don't watch boxing, they just look at boxing and they're knowledgeable about boxing, I guess this is the type of list that you come up with. Number 1, they got Terrence Bud Crawford. Hey, he's arguably number 1 and number 2, so I can't argue about that. Number 2, they got Naoya Inoue. Inoue, whose biggest fight was against a washed-up, old, retired Nonito Donaire. No, he's at the top 9 or 10, basically. That's about the best you can get because Donaire gave him problems, and that's really the only person he's fought that you could probably name. And don't get me wrong, he's beat who's been in front of him, but he hasn't fought nobody. Like, if I put Inoue on a pound, he'd be like number 10 because I give him credit for what he's done, but he hasn't really done much. He's just won where he's at. Now, to put him above Earl Spence, that's truly blasphemous. But this is ESPN. Their biggest sports is basketball, baseball, and football. Boxing is an afterthought. You know, they even got soccer above boxing, so you know that's how that is. Number 3, ESPN got my man, Earl, the True Spence. Well, at least they got him on there, but he could be 1 or 2 compared. Number 4, they got Alexander Usyk. Now, when he was a cruiserweight, I have no problem with it, but as a heavyweight champion, that disqualifies him. He can't be a heavyweight champion and be on the pound-for-pound list. It's against the rules. Number 5, they got Canelo Alvarez, a drug cheat who's done got washed in his last fight, And he's also went all them rounds with Floyd without winning the fight. How can you be on the pound for pound list if you can go 2 whole fights without winning a single round? He got washed by Bivol. He got washed by Floyd. Actually, he also got beat by Erislandy Lara, but they gifted him that decision because, you know, he was the bigger star. Also, Triple G arguably won that fight, but, you know, they gave it to Canelo. And now Canelo will have to fight Triple G again, who's actually waiting on the return so he can get his chance to get his get back. Next, they got number 6, Tyson Fury. This man is a drug cheat, the Nasalon. He also cheated with the gloves against Deontay Wilder. And the third, he's a heavyweight. Heavyweights do not go on the pound for pound list. That's against pound for pound. So yeah, you got a drug cheat, and he's a cheater, and he's a heavyweight. Number 7, they got Arthur Bitterbeef. Now he is a great pick because the man's solid. He's a knockout monster. He's a dangerous fighter. Number 8, they got Dimitri Bivol. Dimitri Bivol and Arthur Bitterbeef are going to have to fight each other. The winner will be in the top 3, I understand, because that's a good fight. Bivol actually beat the man that was the man. He beat the face of boxing, Canelo Alvarez. Number 9 is, it's the Matrix. He's the greatest. It's the Matrix. He's the greatest. We got Vasily Hatek Lomachenko. This man should not be on nobody's pound for pound list, let alone on the pound for pound list when Devin the Dream Haney's not on one, the king of the 135 pound division. Lomachenko is their guy though. He's their great white hype, and they always try to force him on us like when he had 14-0-1 record. No, he had a 14-1 record, but ESPN tried to push the narrative and make him undefeated. Last, they got Shakur Stevens. I'm glad ESPN at least put him on the pound for pound list, but Shakur is a generational talent, like a top 5, top 4 type talent. He's one of them type that you won't see again, but the fact that they got him on the list and they missing a lot more people, he should be happy, I guess. But this is ESPN's BS list right here. ESPN is the biggest leader in sports. That's a guarantee, and that's a given. In the Ring magazine, they're biased because they're owned by Oscar De La Hoya. So whatever he wants, they're going to push out. But the thing is about ESPN, they're more concentrated on the big 3 in sports. Baseball, basketball, football. They don't have the time and energy to put forth toward the boxing community. See, us in the boxing community, we specialize in this. It's like when you go to the hospital and you go see a doctor. A doctor is a general practitioner, but sometimes the doctors have things that they can't compete with, so they will send you to a specialist. And see, a specialist is a person that specializes in a certain area that the doctor does not specialize in. So you need that because a doctor, like I said, is a general practitioner. ESPN will give you fake facts and they'll come out wrong and they don't even apologize for it or do a retract. That shows you what they care about in the sport. But when you got upper echelon or you got people like Champ Side, Blue Blood Sport, Pull Counter, you got people that's in the TWT or the LDBC, they're here to bring you quality, correct material. We're trying to bring you facts over fiction and over feelings. So we take pride in what we do. So what we give you is going to always be correct. And if not, we will give a retract or a statement. See, they don't care about that. And see, this old media. And old media always trying to push his narrative. And I can tell you another reason, like Floyd said, of course it's racism in boxing. And I'm going to tell you why. Look at the fictional movie Rocky Balboa. It's a movie about an Italian who came through, took a lot of punches, became champion and everything. This movie was a fictional, but since it was about an Italian that made it and became champion, Rocky Balboa is in the Boxing Hall of Fame. How do you put a fictional character in the Hall of Fame? Why didn't Apollo Creed make it to the Hall of Fame? See? But people say that's just semantics we arguing, but when they go so far as to put a fictional character in there just to solidify their dominance, that should tell you something. But on my pound for pound list, number 1, I got the WBA WBC ring and the IBF champ, 28-0 with 22 knockouts. Returning from a car injury and a detached retina surgery, we got Earl, the True Spence, Mr. Man Down himself, strap season, coming for that belt. And see, my 1 and 2 are interchangeable because they're making up the biggest fight in the history in the last 40 years. So the winner of that becomes number 1. Number 2, I got Terrence T-Bud Crawford, 3-division world champion, undisputed at 140. 147 WBO champ with 38-0 with 29 knockouts, who is currently on a 10 out of 11 fight knockout streak. So he has 10 knockouts out of his last 11 fights. And like I said, they're interchangeable between 1 and 2 because him and Earl are both on the same level right now. So, you know, it's basically 1 and 1. Number 3 is the guy that everybody be holding their nuts on. It's Jermell Ironman Charlo, 35-1-1 with 19 knockouts, undisputed at 154, cleaned out one of the toughest divisions in boxing, and the only loss he got was controversial. Most felt like he won that fight, but any fight that he lost or draw to, he came back, ran it back, and finished him with a KO. Yes, Jermell Charlo is the epitome of pound for pound, and the fact that they disrespect him because they don't like his antics outside the ring. But pound for pound is what you do inside the ring. Number 4, I got the slickster, Shakur Stevenson. He's 18-0 with 9 knockouts. He's a 2-division champ, and he's the unified WBC, WBO, and ring champ right now. Shakur is very talented, and he has a large future. He reminds you of Floyd, mixed with a little bit of Earl Spence because he has that dominate and walk you down tactic, but he has the reflexes of Roy Jones in his prime and he doesn't get hit. Number 5 is Mayweather's own Gervonta Tank Davis. He's a 3-division champ with 27-0 with 25 knockouts. And this man has torque, he has power, he has speed, and he has boxing IQ. People thought the fight with him and Isaac Cruz was closer than what it was, but they didn't really see the fight. Tank was boxing one-handed on the back foot, changing levels. See, Tank don't really get the respect that he deserved because a lot of people hate Floyd Mayweather. But Tank, he should get a rise in opposition, but right now I still have him ranked in the middle of the road, number 5, because he is a 3-division champ and he has all the tools it needs to be one of the best. He got the speed, agility, power, and the IQ. Plus, he got a hell of a promoter. He got the number 1 promoter in the world. He got Floyd Money Mayweather. And Tank went from 130 to Leo Santa Cruz up to 140 and knocked out Mario Barrios. Yes, the same Mario Barrios that moved to 147 and Keith Thurman was hurt by and couldn't finish off. Number 6, I got Mr. Devin the Dream Haney. He's 28-0 with 15 knockouts. He's the first undisputed in the lightweight division. He beat Kambosos, who beat Teofimo, who ousted Lomachenko. And the fact that they don't put him on their pound for pound list is a spit in the face. How you beat the man that beat the man that beat the man? And Lomachenko had been ducking this boy right here, but Devin, he don't duck no smoke. Like he say, all they say everything but let's fight. Number 7, he may not have a belt, but he is the best fighter without a belt. It's Jerome Boots Ennis. The man is a natural switch hitter with power in both hands. We call him Dynamite and Explosion. The man is 29-0-1 with 27 knockouts. And the only reason he doesn't have a belt now is because Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford are tying up the division with both belts. Number 8 is 21-0 with 8 knockouts, 2-division champ, the unified bantamweight champ, Stephen Fulton Jr. The man came out there and fought a fight with Brandon Figueroa where everybody thought he would be overrun. But they don't call him Cool Boy Step for nothing. Cool Boy Step got some sweet moves and he can last a while. Number 9, I got Dimitri Bivol. He's 20-0 with 11 knockouts. He beat the man who was considered the face of boxing. Also beat Joe Smith Jr. and John Pascal. Demetrius Bivol was a cherry pick gone wrong. But what people didn't realize is that the man had skills. He came from the same place Gennady Golovkin come from. And see, the only difference is Bivol was a lot bigger and cleaner. He wasn't scared of Canelo power. People sit there and say, oh, Canelo dared to be great. But what they fail to realize is Canelo also went up there and beat Sergey Kovalev. So I don't want to hear that dare to be great when you lost to Bivol. And Bivol also said he'd come down to 168 for the rematch. Canelo denied it, as usual. Number 10, I got Jesse Bam Rodriguez, 16-0 with 11 knockouts. He's the WBC super flyweight. I got to give it to him. The man jumped up 2 divisions with short notice to beat Carlos Quatros and get the belt. He also knocked out the man that was supposed to be the boogeyman, Soyvan Vasai. But my number 10 was between 3 people. Next, I say it could be Arthur Beterbiev, who is a KO bone-crushing monster, who is 18-0 with 18 knockouts, and he's the unified light heavyweight champion. The man is great. He got skills, and the skills pay the bills. And he's looking to be undisputed, but he has to go against Dimitri Bivol, which is going to be a hell of a fight, and I can't wait to see it. But it's between Bam Rodriguez, Arthur Beterbiev, and Naoya Inoue. I can't take nothing away from him. He still has been beaten who has come up in front of him. Although his only great wins is against Nonito Donaire. He struggled the first fight against him, but he destroyed him in the second fight, even though Donaire was a lot older. This is my pound for pound list right here.